Recording. Good morning,
Got him.
everyone. Welcome back. Oh no, it's God
Sorry.
Almighty.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. What happened? You good?
No. I just said got him.
Oh, okay. I thought you said God Almighty. Oh, damn it.
Oh,
I was good.
oh.
No, because then I could have been like, oh, God's not here to help. Hellboy's here to help. But now
I'm
it's
sorry.
whatever.
I stepped all over your intro.
No, it's whatever. It's fine.
Uh,
My intro was gonna be this whole explanation about like the difference between film and television and how Hellboy as a character was once very cinematic, and after a certain filmmaker left, he has become very uncinematic. And that doesn't mean there's not potential, but I have an angle here where I just think Hellboy as a character isn't for movies anymore. I think he's more of a TV character. But we can get into all of that with my co-host Matt Garingo.
what are you doing?
Well, I have thoughts about all the Hellboy movies, which is what we're here to
What
talk about today.
what
Specifically the Guillermo del Toro ones, but I just have thoughts.
in Hollywood? Make this into more television.
Yeah. Some stuff is TV and some stuff is movies. It's fine. It happens.
I think we have enough television.
Yeah. I I think it depends. I'm not
You
saying I
you
want it like now. I'm just saying like, oh, okay, this probably would fit better there.
you want The Last of Us 2 of
Oh boy.
television?
Oh, I'm not touching that show with 100-foot pole.
How's that going right now?
Look, that show is the victim of heinous assaults by internet grifters and alt right bullshit. It is also a
And
bad
being
TV show,
being based on bad source material.
and it's a bad TV show. So it's like it's unfortunate. So,
Mm. Well, to date, when this episode's
whoops.
coming out, Neil Druckmann recently decided to graduate from showrunner of the show, or whatever he was doing on it. I don't even care.
Yeah, um, yeah, we'll see. I understand that some people think his episodes that he directed are better than the majority of other episodes in the show. I cannot speak to the quality of that, but as far as I know, he is genuinely working on more video games at Naughty Dog, and so maybe this is just a cover story. Not to get into gossip, maybe it's not. It doesn't really matter. I don't think the show kept my attention very much, anyways. So
Well, thankfully, he's a very cool and chill guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What the fuck is Intergalactic?
That's his new
The
video
her-
game.
the Heretic Prophet. Oh, I do not like that as a title for a Neil Druckmann joint.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are are we at a point where we have to go? Maybe Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross aren't that great at scores.
Well, hold the phone. I think they're very, very good and talented, and I think, like any of our great artists, can simply stretch themselves too thin.
Exactly
I
what
do
I'm
believe that.
saying.
I think maybe they should chill for a little bit.
All
That's
right,
all.
let's go through their scores real quick.
They haven't scored a
Uh,
Hellboy movie.
they probably won't. Um,
No, no, they won't.
the Social Network, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl. All right, three right in a row. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's good stuff right there. Before the Flood, which I don't even know what that is. Um, oh,
I
it's
don't either.
documentary about climate change. I'm glad that helped.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
Patriots Day.
Oh my god, I forgot they did that. No one remembers that movie, by the way.
The Ken Burns Vietnam War. docu-series, which is basically like, man, that was rough on everyone, especially us. Mid 90s,
Oh, I actually like that score quite a bit.
Bird Box, the Watchmen TV show, Waves, Mank, Soul, Bones and All, Empire of Light,
Oh
Teenage
wait,
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
what?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Eh. Well, no one saw that movie. Did anyone see that movie?
I saw it.
You did?
Empire of Light?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. It was Roger Deakins lens, so I had to.
That should never be the only reason to see something.
I'm not like a Sam Mendes hater either, so it's
It
I'm
made $11 million. Um,
oof.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem,
Oof.
The Killer, which people like for some reason. Um, Challengers, Queer.
Oh, that's an amazing score.
No, no, no. That's kind of the one. It's like it's going by what I'm looking at. They drop a good one every like 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Gorge, and they're currently lined up to do Tron Ares, which will have a totally normal release.
Mm-hmm.
Um, them doing the score for that is very funny to me.
Did you see the trailer for that?
No, why would I?
Okay, yeah, it looks whatever, but that music, because it's some of their music in the trailer is
Uh-huh.
quite good, and I'm like, yeah, I bet that'll be great to listen to.
They are quite good at music.
Yes,
That doesn't
huzzah!
mean that doesn't mean they're great all the time.
I agree.
I just think it's very funny that it's like, what's the one thing people that even don't like Tron, whatever the last one was called, Tron
Legacy,
Resurrection,
legacy.
Tron Resurrection. Um, it's like, what does everyone like about that shitty movie?
Oh,
Uh,
whoa, whoa! We are not doing that here. We
what
are
does what
not
does
doing that
everyone like
today.
about that highly overrated, boring ass Tron Legacy sequel? And everyone's like the de-aging on Jeff Bridges. It's
Which
like, no,
works
you idiot. It's the
contextually within the narrative of the film.
and then everyone's like, no, you idiot. It's the Daft Punk score. And it's like, well, we're not getting them because they
Yeah.
blew
Well, to
up or
be fair, they
something.
are retired from music
Y-
together.
Yeah, but like, you would. Are you telling me there's no money you could throw at them to get them to come in to do it?
I don't know. Maybe, but I don't think they need it anymore.
And don't worry, they got the director of Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, and Dead Man Tell No Tales.
He also directed last year's The Woman in the Sea, starring Daisy
Oh
Ridley.
yeah. We're not doing right by Daisy Ridley.
She's gotten smaller movies made that she's quite good in. Like I really like Sometimes I Think About
Yeah.
Dying. I don't know if you ever
Yeah.
saw that one.
No, I know she's good. I
Yeah.
just I want to see her in a big movie again because she
Oh yeah,
deserves it
yeah.
because she's a good actress.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, like I hadn't seen all the small stuff she's like produced with her husband and everything now
yeah.
until after I saw The Woman in the Sea, which isn't like a great movie, but you know, it's like a sturdy traditional biopic. Um, but seeing her on the big screen, I was like, fucking goddamn, like that's a movie star. Like she is so great. Why isn't she in like big stuff all the time? And I think it really is a mix of like just maybe not wanting to be wrapped up in another Star Wars sized property, and also I think she wants to produce like smaller scale things. I think she's had not massive success, but creative
but
success with that,
but
and I can't be upset at that.
has she ever thought about what I want? The answer
I
is
guess you're
no.
right. No, she hasn't. Yeah, so
um.
we'll see.
Anyway, we have a conversation about the whole Trent Reznor Atticus Ross thing. Going in there, they did
Yeah.
like the score for Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and
Call of Duty
other
used to
stuff.
hire like big composer. Hans Zimmer scored the original Modern Warfare 2.
Good for Hans.
No, I'm not saying that's a positive or negative. I'm just saying like they shelled out money for that shit. That
Yeah, they
I'm a little
used to.
shocked. Yeah.
They used to.
Yeah.
Video game industry's doing great right now.
The speed running the death of their own industry faster than movies.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to see
Apologies to
who gets there first.
yeah, they're like, "Oh
It's
man,
like
movies got us beat by about 80 years. Let's pick up the pace, fellas."
it's gonna be movies, video games, or just America in general.
Hmm. Yeah. Private equity, stand up right now. Race you to
Oh,
the
thank.
finish line.
Let's get them in there.
Anyways, let's talk about something that has nothing to do with private equity, the death of American empire, and capitalism. Let's talk about your history with Hellboy, Matt Garingo. What is your history with Hellboy, the original
Saw
character?
Hellboy in 2004 when it came out.
All right, and that you didn't read any of the comics or anything like that before then.
I Not before then. Hellboy was my
Hmm.
introduction to Hellboy,
Okay.
which is actually kind of challenging because Hellboy, the character in the movie, is very different than he is in the comics.
Hmm.
So, like, I had a little bit of that I struggled with initially. Um, it probably took me a minute to really get into the comic Hellboy. Um, I got used to Mike Mignola's work a little more. Um,
Hmm.
but hey,
Yeah. I'm the same. I saw the movie in 2004, not in theaters. I saw it at a friend's house, and I remember thinking like I wasn't super excited about that movie. I was just like, oh, that looks weird. And then I saw the movie, and my response at the time was like, oh, that's like a normal, standard, like, origin movie in a way. Like, okay, here's like the generic character to help us get into this world. Here's the weird main character. Here's all this other interesting stuff. Let's follow the least interesting person possible in the narrative. Like, even like obviously, I'm phrasing it very differently than I would have back then. But I
mm,
remember having a similar response back then to that,
hmm
being like, I don't, he's not Hellboy. Why are you spending time with this guy?
I don't know if I had that reaction to it. Although it is one where, like, when I watch it now, obviously, I'm much more uh, in tune with what's going on there, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Like the choices of a character that does not even exist in the comic. Um,
Hmm.
right? He's not. There's no John. His name's John, right? Like they didn't even bother giving him an interesting name.
No,
Um,
he's got a name. Hang on, let me pull up the name. I did not have his name ready to go, so let's let's see.
exactly. It shows you how interesting this guy is.
John
Um,
Tom Manning. No, that is Jeffrey Tambor. John
yeah, Jeffrey
Myers.
Tambor.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
John
exactly. His
Myers.
name's John.
Yeah.
So,
um. Let's see, because I don't read the comics until like a couple years back at this point now. Like I didn't hop into them after Hellboy 2 even, you know.
mhm.
Um let's just focus on this first one then. So, revisiting the film all these years later, over 21 years later, Jesus Christ. Um how do you feel about it now versus when you first saw it?
I like it.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of a like solid movie that we don't really make anymore, right? Like this type of
Mhm.
superhero movie. It's gonna sound strange. We're like we have so many superhero movies, but I can't think of one that where it's like it feels original and independent, even though it is based on something, right? But like there's
Yeah.
no. It is a like wow, we lost something in a world where everything is a shared universe now, right? So
Mhm.
I have to be thinking about the 17 setups that are going on in every movie. And it does it kind of exists in the Hellboy universe in terms of the whole bureau and shit like that. Uh, but I don't know. It feels unique in an odd way now. Um, I mean, I was even thinking we just had like 28 years later come out, and in even that has like shared universe shit going on in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's slightly different, but um, I think that does color how people view movies now. I wonder how much damage that's really done to like cinema, um, in terms of like
Yeah.
cheapening it. That no movie is
Yeah.
just a movie anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, I think this movie is better than ever. I think it kind of
Mm.
ages better as I get older, and I honestly don't even have a big problem with the John Myers character, even though it's impossible not to see him as just the audience surrogate character. I think Del Toro's even talked about like, yeah, uh, not not his preferred um, entry point into the Hellboy universe,
Yeah.
but I
Well, this is
think
such an odd. The existence of this movie is very odd, even, right? Like,
yeah, but
where
I
it's
think
like,
the character stuff across the board is otherwise very sturdy. Everything in this movie is very sturdy. The direction by Del Toro is really sturdy. I think it's even great at times, like many times, and I
hmm.
think it's kind of undervalued in that sense. It is not my favorite Del Toro. I don't think it's many people's favorite Del Toro, but it is undeniably his also,
Yeah, but
which
it's also
makes me
it's
respect
probably
it even more.
most people's entry point to Del Toro, right?
Oh, 100
Uh,
percent.
I feel like a lot of people get in on the Del Toro thing. I actually Del Toro kind of had a weird arc for me where it was similar to like Spielberg in a weird way,
Mm-hmm.
where one day I realized, oh, this it's the same guy doing all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I watched all the movies where it's like I grew up like by the time Hellboy is out, I've watched Mimic, Blade 2, and then Hellboy, right? And it probably isn't until the aftermath of Pan's Labyrinth that I'm like, oh, it's the same guy doing all those movies. Like I did not realize who Del Toro was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was kind of interesting to be like, oh, three movies that are kind of, they're regulars in the way that certain movies are regulars when you're younger. And then to realize Del Toro did all of them and who this guy was, it was I don't know how to say it. It's like it was an interesting shift for me in terms of like my appreciation of directors. I always say like Pan's Labyrinth was the first foreign language film I watched in its original language. Um, up till then I'd watched like anime and you know monster movies, but Pan's Labyrinth was the first one I actually watched in its original language.
Mm-hmm.
So it holds a certain importance to me. And it's just interesting that suddenly, like, oh, it's the same guy. Like, that doesn't, I can't think of how many times that's happened.
Yeah.
Because once you become a film nerd, you suddenly know everything about a movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, suddenly you're like, oh, I know a guy who directed one movie once. I've been waiting for him to do something ever since. So,
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing about this first one. It's There's just not a lot to talk about in terms of like the narrative decisions. There's some great shit in here. There's some really cool, exciting shit in here. Like Hellboy fighting Nazis is just always inherently cool. Killing Nazis on cinema, it's the great
well,
American
like,
pastime.
yeah, has evil Nazis ever not been like at least a little fun, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a winning formula for a reason. Um, but yeah, so
Like it's just so Del Toro visually and aesthetically that even though I feel like we are softballing it still, I'm like, no, like it's still worth like recommending and such. Like even the way that he shoots um the John and Liz characters like on their like awkward little date or whatever. And like the way he lights those scenes and when they're walking through those trees with the plastic over them, it's like wow, like it's only him, Del Toro, that would produce it that way, that would conjure those images and that landscape in that specific way. So even though like maybe it's not the most like exciting original concept aside from the Hellboy mythos birthed from Mike Mignola, it's just I just really appreciate how wholly it's his, and as we get away from a cinema that is has unique stamps from filmmakers more so. It does make this one feel a little more special. It's like, yeah, this is a superhero entry point movie, but it's also Del Toro's superhero entry point movie, and
But
it's
isn't that partly
unmistakable.
is that partly Del Toro's thing though that he maybe I don't know, he doesn't like really reinvent the wheel with his narrative too much, right? Like mostly when
Hmm.
you watch his movies, you can almost always see what he's riffing on, right?
Yeah.
And then recently he's done nothing but adaptations, you know.
Hmm.
Like Nightmare Alley is like a remake. Shape of Water is just him doing like what if I did Creature of the Black Lagoon, right? Like
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
my take on that? And it's his most original, but still. Um, and then it's like Pinocchio, and now we're gearing up for his Frankenstein movie, which should be out by November of this year.
Hmm.
Um, so like he doesn't really. I guess he just doesn't push the boundaries in that respect, but like, not that he has to, right? Like he's
Yeah.
very much. I think I remember he did a great interview with Mike Flanagan once. They talked about their approaches to horror, and he talked about he's like I'm not. He says like I'm not really interested in the mechanics of horror. I'm an aesthetics of horror type guy, and
Hmm.
that's you get that here too, even though it's a superhero film, right? Uh,
Yeah.
you get it. It's like he's not. It's very basic in terms of a superhero story. It's probably as basic as you can get, but it is aesthetically, it's one of those things like you would watch because you're not really going to get a superhero film that looks like this anywhere else, right?
Hmm.
Um, Other than Hellboy 2, I guess. But like,
Or
you
Blade.
know,
Blade 2 like hints at this aesthetic.
mm,
It's there, but it's not
yeah.
nearly as expounded upon.
Yeah, I know Del Toro never really got to make the trilogy one of Hellboy, but it's technically the trilogy is Blade 2, Hellboy, Hellboy 2.
Yeah.
So,
They're stylistic stepping stones in a big way.
yeah, yeah. Um, mm.
Um, and especially Pan's Labyrinth, I would put as like Hellboy 2.5. Obviously, there's other stuff going on in that movie, and
Mm.
that's great,
Well, that's
and it's still
that, this
terrific.
is
But it's
this is part of what I think kind of fucks up the whole trajectory of the Hellboy franchise is that in between entries he does Pan's Labyrinth, right?
hmm.
Which is like a weird kind of crossover hit and an Oscar nominated film, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like he's already gearing up to do Hellboy 2 and then he's like this is that era like post Pan's Labyrinth where he like agrees to like 1,000 projects, right? And he's like he has like all these projects he wants to do and basically none of them happened, right? Uh,
Yeah.
what like what from like post uh what did he announce in the wake of Pan's Labyrinth that actually happened?
Hellboy 2.
Well, like that's here's the thing, Hellboy 2 is already happening, right? Like Hellboy
Yeah.
2 probably gets like fast tracked a little bit because of the Pan's Labyrinth thing, but it's like Hellboy 3 doesn't happen, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Hobbit doesn't happen. At the Mountains of Madness doesn't happen. He's like like at one point Universal was like, we want you to run the Dark Universe in like the earlier incarnation of it, right?
Hmm.
Like that was one of the things, and he was like, I'm not sure if I want to do that, which I think he's like gone on to say he regrets. Um, he was gonna do. Remember, he was gonna do Carnival Row.
Oh yeah, and then that
Uh,
became just an Amazon show.
yeah, it was like gonna be it was gonna be a movie, and then but I think the interest in Carnival Row is what gets him to Pacific Rim. And I think Pacific Rim is like the one project that is announced close to the release of Pan's Labyrinth that actually comes to fruition, right? And
Hmm.
that's the odd one to make it, right? Like that it feels like in a different world, Pacific Rim would be the one that got canceled like 5 minutes after it was announced. And instead that's the one that gets made and none of the other movies get made.
Yeah, I mean, some of that is, maybe he was a little excited. Another part of it is just that you do kind of have to attach yourself to a lot of stuff to hopefully get anything made. Like that
No,
that is true.
I agree. It's just weird that like the stuff because he doesn't just have that thing where like Martin Scorsese announces way more projects than he ends up directing, right? Spielberg does that too,
Mm-hmm.
where they announce projects because it's really about like they want to be working constantly, they want to be constantly developing stuff, and then when they're ready to go on something, they can go, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and Del Toro was just weird. Where like a lot of his projects were like close to filming, right? It wasn't. There's way more stuff that obviously was always just in the development stage, but he got close to filming on a lot of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't have like at the Mountains of Madness was like ready to go, you know,
Yeah.
like that movie was ready to go, and then it didn't happen. The Hobbit, his version of the Hobbit was ready to go, and just didn't happen.
That's always going to be one of the great unsung movies for me. Like I know
The
it in what's in my head is probably not what the movie would have been, but that's the one that still kind of stings for me.
Mountain of Madness or Hobbit.
Hobbit, sorry, Hobbit.
Yeah, no, Hobbit. Yeah, that's one where it's kind of like we really we lost something there, especially when you consider what the Hobbit ended up being. Um,
Yeah,
but
it's
what
got
the
fans.
I know it does. They're wrong. But you do wonder if cinema could have gone in a different direction had
Mm-hmm.
his Hobbits come out because it would have made money.
Yeah,
But um,
yeah.
I'm just looking at all his unadapted films right
No,
now.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
he was one of the guys who Nolan wanted for Man of Steel. He was on that short list.
yeah,
It's and
he left the
even
project because
that.
he left the project to do Mountains of Madness. Oh boy.
God damn, dude.
Uh,
And then of
Remember the
course the
Haunted Mansion
famous Haunted
movie?
Mansion. Yeah,
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 I was just about to bring that up. That's a weird one. Uh,
yeah.
where yeah, I don't even that was gonna have fucking Ryan Gosling was gonna be in it.
Mm-hmm. That's where that
So many
famous picture comes from with Guillermo and
yeah
Ryan Gosling. Yeah,
on the Cars ride at Disneyland.
yeah, having the time of
Uh,
their lives doing that instead of attending the Oscars. Hell yeah.
the o- the other fucking that's kind of sad thing is when you look at like his undeveloped projects and then the ones that like did get made and they're all terrible. Like I Am Legend, which was directed by Francis Lawrence.
I don't think it's a
Um,
bad movie. I think it's a terrible adaptation, and I think it's
yeah,
like a fine film.
it's a terrible adaptation and it's an okay movie until the CGI monsters show up.
Yeah.
Um, Pan, the movie that Joe Wright ended up doing. Remember
Oof.
Pan?
Yeah.
Tarzan,
Oh
which ended up getting directed by that hack David Yates.
yeah.
Uh, Doctor Strange, but his Doctor Strange would have been very different, obviously. So like that's kind of a hard one too. Oh boy, Neil Gaiman
Remarkably.
was gonna write it.
Oh yeah. I didn't want to say it. I thought you knew.
Oh boy,
Do you
what
not
a
know
what
their
a.
pitch?
No, I don't actually.
Okay. I was actually obsessed with it for a little while, and then not for recent events.
Look, let's just say this: Gaiman was a good writer. It's
Yeah.
okay to admit that Gaiman was a good writer. It's just he's
Yeah.
also now apparently a monstrous human being.
Yeah,
So
which
you
sucks.
could.
But their idea was for Doctor Strange, like the Sanctum was gonna keep him like ageless, and it would have covered like 90 years of
Mm,
basically the entirety of the 20th century, with Stephen Strange going about learning magic and exploring magical realms as the real world, quote unquote, would have like continued without him, and how he has to like struggle to adapt to those changing times. And it's an interesting premise. I see why
yeah,
they didn't make that movie.
yeah. You can see why Hollywood said no to that,
Yeah.
but would have
Interesting
liked
book
to.
idea.
Yeah, Gaiman, you should write it now
No,
specifically.
no, 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 no. Of course, the big one for me is Pacific Rim 2, which is
Yeah,
just
Pacific Rim 2 is like
fucking,
that's just stupid.
yeah.
Like that's just a like the one thing that movie had going for it was that it was directed by Del Toro. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not like poo-pooing Pacific Rim, but it's like it's his thing, right?
Yeah. It's his Star
Like,
Wars.
yeah, it was his, and then it was like we don't need him.
Yeah.
Um, the other's The Witches, which he still has like a writing credit on.
Hmm.
Um, which
which means he did so much fucking work on that movie
mm,
that they legally had to commend him. That means 70% of the material, I think, in the movie comes from Del Toro. I'm not saying that movie's badness is his fault. I'm saying that they just fucked up 70% of his work.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, like, I bet you, like, there's a lot of stuff in there about like civil rights, right? That was kind of added that's not in the book. I'm gonna
Hmm.
guess that was Del Toro stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that seems like something he would graft onto it. And yeah, I'm looking. Right, Man of Steel is the other one. The Haunted Mansion movie, which did get made, and no one liked it. I guess he was in talks for Maleficent at one point. Um,
Oh, fuck.
he was going to do a
And
Beauty
he's
and the
tight
Beast
with
film.
Angelina Jolie. So that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Well, here's the other weird thing is that like the other thing no one talks about with the Haunted Mansion thing was that not only was he going to do that, he was getting set up at Disney to have like his own production company under the Disney umbrella that was entirely about making horror films for kids. It was going to be called like Disney Double Dare You. Do you even remember that? Like it was like a
No.
big deal.
Whoa. What the
Yeah, like
fuck?
that was the announcement. And it was one of those that like I think it was one of the things that like the John Carter and Mars Needs Moms bombing so close to each other was Disney being like, we'll never do an original project ever again,
Oh,
right?
God. Uh huh.
Like that was them like abandoning it shortly after. But he was gonna do Maleficent. He was also gonna do he was attached to the Beauty and the Beast live action like way early, like before
Mm
the live action remake had become a thing, you know?
hmm. Mm
Uh Justice League Dark, which of course didn't happen.
hmm. Mm hmm.
um, the Silent Hill shit.
Yeah.
There's so many. Um,
I mean, even down to the Michael Mann George Miller documentary. Do you remember this?
yeah, he like made a whole thing where it was like, was it after Shape of Water? He was like, I want to go and interview directors that I like, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's
Uh,
like, I'm on top of the world. I'm gonna take a break though because even though he didn't make anything between. Oh no, he made Pacific Rim, Crimson Peak, and Shape of Water back to back while having Pacific Rim 2 stolen from him. Like that's a fucking lot to do. He said he wanted a
yeah.
break and then he was going to chill out by doing a documentary, which I don't know if that's a break. I love him for that, but I don't think that's a break. But
Mm.
whatever. Whatever worked. But anyways, nothing came of that. It was shelved because of the pandemic, the COVID-19
Mm.
pandemic. Um, so I guess we're just not getting that, but he's friends with both, so who
I mean,
knows?
something could still happen there. Who fucking knows?
Yeah, I
At
would
this
like for
point,
that to happen.
yeah. I mean, Del Toro is one of those guys where, like, I think even if you don't like Del Toro, like him talking about movies and art is always fascinating,
Yeah.
right? Like
When he used to
he's a great cheerleader of cinema and the arts.
yeah, I mean he used to post those like recommendations on Twitter and then someone made like a letterbox list of his recommendations and it's like the
It,
greatest movie list of all time.
yeah, it's insanely long.
Yeah.
But
And then of
that was
course
funny when
I
he made that account, and that was basically all he did for like the first few years, right? Like he just
yeah.
recommended shit.
I've told you this, and I think you didn't believe me initially, and I don't blame you for not believing me. But it's like officially out there that his unmade Star Wars script was a Jabba the Hutt film.
Yeah, that's crazy that that was even considered.
Yeah. Well, they were like saying yes to anything from artists that were popular at the time, and I could see why you would, especially for Del Toro. But I think after Solo, they were like, let's slow down a little bit.
Yeah,
Let's not do that. That's not even about the quality of that film. It's just like, okay, we can't. This isn't a bulletproof brand. Got it.
yeah. Well, I think they
Now
kept
we've
having the
learned,
problem
and we'll
where
never
like,
make that mistake again.
yeah, I think they kept having the problem where like they're like, finally, we will finally have a Star Wars movie where the budget doesn't go out of control, and the budget always went out of control.
Yeah.
Like no matter what they did, it just didn't work.
Well, I mean, it's here's the thing. Like, I know you're not as hype on Andor as I am,
Mhm.
but I think we both really admire Tony Gilroy. And
Yeah.
Gilroy, he's like the only guy to talk about this. Everyone is like, look at what we can do with technology now. Look at the volume. Look at the capabilities of this and that, and that's great. That is truly, purely great and artistically exciting. Tony Gilroy is the only creative on any of these productions who's like, yeah, it's great, but you got to think of everything. Like a cup
Mhm.
isn't just a cup in Star Wars. They don't just drink water in Star Wars. They drink blue milk. And he breaks down like you have to design everything from the top to the bottom. Like you can't just shoot in a warehouse for Star Wars. You can make up the warehouse to look Star Warsy, but then that's a bunch of other stuff you got to do, and that costs money, and that takes time, and that's why the fucking that's a lot the Mandalorian shows look so fucking cheap. When they're like when it's just them and the volume. Like I'm sorry, it looks like a fan film,
Yeah,
and that's why something like Andor doesn't look cheap. So Star Wars has to cost a lot of money just by proxy of being Star Wars. And
yeah.
I understand them pulling back from that. I would understand less, hypothetically, if they were just rushing stuff into production because they wanted another Star Wars film out.
Is that what they're doing right now? I'm not even
Star
paying
Wars,
attention.
Starfighter in theaters 2027.
What's that one?
That's the Sean Levy one.
Okay, it's not going to be good, so whatever.
Yeah.
Is that the one that what's her name was working on at one point?
No, the Daisy Ridley one is on the back burner.
No,
Surprise.
not Daisy. That not Daisy Ridley. The what's her name? The
Oh,
Wonder
Patty
Woman director.
Jenkins.
Yeah, she was going to do
I
like
don't.
Rogue Squadron at one point.
Yeah, no, 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 no. It's not that. They might be taking ideas from that, but it's something that Sean Levy pitched in a because remember Lucasfilm met with like everyone at one point,
Hmm.
and I have to respect Sean Levy for this because he basically like kept positioning himself as like, yeah, I met with Lucasfilm. Yeah, we talked about doing a Star Wars, and he just kept hammering that away for like the last 2 years. And he basically forced his own Star Wars movie into
Now
production.
that's a coward's move.
But
That's what
it
made it was
worked.
nothing interesting to say. I don't care. That's what made it was nothing interesting to say or do.
I mean, yes, that's true, but
And
it
I can't
worked.
respect. I can't respect that. That's Jay Leno jockeying for the Tonight Show.
Oh, when you put it that way.
I'm just saying that's what that is.
Yeah.
Uh, it's not. There's nothing worth respecting there.
I mean, what's that Zack Snyder quote? Like, doesn't matter, the movie got made. I do feel a
It,
little of that.
in what respect?
It's like he got it. Other people have been trying to get stuff made there for like 5 years, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to do this. I'm gonna do it." And he just
No, I don't
keeps
respect. I don't
no.
respect that in any capacity.
Okay, you're probably a
I
better person than
the
me.
Lucasfilm and Disney, like a certain political party right now, could use a lot of leadership with an actual vision for the future of their intellectual properties instead of just whatever fucking guy is popular at the moment and being like, it must be because he's good on social media. That must be what it is.
I mean, I
Can't be
agree with that.
anything. It can't be anything of substance.
Yeah, it's sort of the
What is
opposite of Del Toro.
what is the broader appeal of something like Deadpool and Wolverine?
The memes.
Yeah,
I'm
but like,
not
what
being
is it like?
flippant. I'm not being flippant.
I
I
know,
mean, like, yeah, just
I
this
know,
the
I know,
immediate
but like,
dopamine hits.
but I always say like I can't just settle on the cynical conclusion.
Hmm.
Like, there's got to be something more there. So I feel like if you're in a movie for the memes, you can get it without seeing the movie.
Hmm.
Like, we all get chicken jockey right now.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let's look at that. Chicken Jockey and Deadpool. Maybe it's just the communal aspect of getting to participate with the crowd to reacting to those memes.
I think that is part of it. I think there's a communal element to it, and like because the cinema has been such trash in the last 10 years, younger people don't know what that is, so they only know it through like the meme culture thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, although memes have become like a weird in-group, out-group thing, right? Of uh, if you know what a meme is, you're in the in crowd. Uh, but also like memes aren't a subculture anymore. Like it's this weird thing that's happened, similar to what happened with comic books, right? Of just
Hmm.
like when Hellboy's coming out, superheroes are not mainstream still, right? Yes, it is post Spider-Man, and 2004 is going to be the same year as Spider-Man 2. Like, yes, that stuff has happened by this point, but it's still technically a subculture within many other subcultures, right?
Hmm.
Uh, it's really I think it is something that the changing of the guard does happen 2008 when Hellboy 2 is released, which is maybe what hurt that movie in the long run.
That
Um,
was an awesome
but
segue, by the way.
hey, I know what I'm doing. Fuck
Yeah,
you.
no, thank you. Yeah.
but but like 2004, I'm just kind of it is weird that a Hellboy movie even got made, even in 2004, right? Um, like we're way past the creator owned boom of the 90s, right?
Hmm.
uh, that sort of boom, which is what gives us something like the Spawn movie, right? Which is made in like '97, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, I
but
just
that movie,
remember you texting me about that.
yeah, we were talking about Spawn. Maybe we'll talk about more.
Yeah.
But Spawn is one of those movies where like Spawn one hits shelves and they're like, we're making a movie, right?
Hmm.
Like that's the ones. There's a lot that don't get made, like Youngblood. There was an offer. Speaking of Deadpool, on Rob Liefeld's Youngblood, which I think is the first Image comic, right? Technically, that's the first one that was ever released. And part of the reason why X-Men, gets the movie adaptation is X-Men #1 being the highest selling comic book of all time, right?
Hmm.
Uh, that which is not technically X-Men #1. It's the weird reboot they did with the Jim Lee art on the cover in
Hmm.
like 91, right? 92. Because Hellboy comes out of the creator-owned boom of the 90s,
Hmm.
uh, produced by, published by Dark Horse Comics. What do you think when you think Dark Horse Comics? Do you just think Hellboy?
I think Hellboy, and because of God, like 15 years ago now, I start the sorry to say it, the Whedonverse, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angels, Firefly
Mm.
comics. After I finished all those shows, I'm like, well, I want to see the continuing adventures, and Dark Horse hosted all those. So that
Yeah,
was
they had
that for
it
me.
was
And then eventually, when I go into Hellboy after that, it's Dark Horse.
they did like Buffy season 8. Was that what it was called?
Yeah,
The
it
comic?
ran until like season 12, I think. I kind of tapped
Mm.
out by 10 because I was like, oh, Joss Whedon stopped writing at a certain point. Not
Mm.
that there aren't talented people who worked on that property. I'm just saying you can tell like, all right, this is just brand continuation and not really that interesting as a story anymore. Got it. And even at that
Dark
time, I like clocked that shit.
Dark Horse had a better run than most of those guys.
No, no, no,
Now that
for
I
sure,
look
for sure.
at
I'm,
it.
I'm just exclusively
No,
referring to my
no,
reaction to the Buffy stuff. I want to make
no.
clear.
I just mean in terms of like, here's the thing. Like, we might talk about Image Comics more in a different episode, so we'll save it for that. But Image is the one that like bursts onto the scene as like this is the new hotness, right? Look at all these comics. They're like ready made for properties, right?
Hmm.
Like we and then like how much Image stuff actually got made, right? Like
Yeah,
what Image comics have been made in the movies? Like Spawn is the one.
yeah.
There's
Oh God,
Witchblade, but
sorry
like
to.
Witchblade is like one of those weird ones where like there's been like 4 attempts to do TV shows and they've all bombed, right?
Hmm.
And now
I
it's like
mean,
Walking Dead obviously has been the other
yeah,
hit. Kick
The
Ass,
Walking.
but that came like
Hmm.
way later, and Invincible right now.
Yeah, which
Um,
is very popular. Some people I didn't realize watched it were posting about it like
yeah,
on my
but even
friends'
though
Instagrams, and I was like,
a
whoa.
lot of what I just listed is like the second generation Image comics, not like the early stuff, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Where
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
Dark Horse had the mask, right?
Oh God,
Like,
is that true? Let me see. I
yeah,
believe you. I don't think I knew that.
I believe the mask premiered in a Dark Horse comic.
Oh
Um,
shit.
I'm not sure if like I don't know like how the what the rights are because the masks seem to have weird rights, right? So
Hmm.
it might have been published by a
Yeah.
different
No.
group.
Nope. The Mask. Yeah. Published by Dark Horse Comics.
And similar to the Hellboy thing, the mask comic is like way different than the movie, which was just made to a Jim Carrey vehicle, right?
Hmm.
Where is like the mask is like a very like post Watchmen dark comedy horror superhero comic, right?
Hmm.
Like like the mask just shoots people. Like that's what a good example is like they do the gag in the movie where he does the a Tommy gun, like where he blows up the balloon into a Tommy gun, right?
Hmm.
And just like sparks fly out and the guys run away. And then it's like in the comic he like actually guns people down. Like, uh But like Dark Horse just had like a better run, I think, because like also they have Sin City in this era, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they had Hellboy ends up being a success in terms of adaptation, and then they get like 300 a little bit later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, like they had
For the
a
video game nerds, they also did you mention Ninja Gaiden already?
well, yeah, but like they published that like that's an adaptation of the work, right? Like I
Yes,
was saying
yes, yes.
because
But
they had Alien for a while.
uh
Like
huh.
a lot of the Alien comics came out of Dark Horse. They had Star Wars for
Mm-hmm.
a
That
huge
was the
chunk of it.
last one
Like
I was gonna bring up. Yep.
a lot of, but I was talking more in terms of like successfully launching their own IPs, right?
Okay.
Which
Yeah, yeah. I see.
and I think the challenge there really is that because those things are all creator owned, it's not like Dark Horse has a ton of incentive to adapt the stuff they're making, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's changed because now they have their own entertainment label, and they were bought by the Embracer Group, which maybe isn't a great sign of where things are going for for them. Uh, but Dark Horse had like a pretty successful. Oh, and Umbrella Academy is another one they did,
Oh,
which
there
was
you
kind of
go.
weird. That kind of had like a mini crossover appeal to it. Um, but yeah, I just find that interesting in terms of like Hellboy doesn't exist without the Image revolution, right? And then Hellboy just ends up being a more successful version of what the Image guys were trying to go for, while also having an adaptation that is very transformative of the original work,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of just
And
like,
this is why it's a failed blockbuster, even though it's a rare one to get a sequel in this superhero season. Not a hit. The first
yeah,
movie.
both movies didn't do very well.
No, the
Like
second one at
they
least
didn't
straight up
bomb.
broke even in theaters, though. I think the
Yeah.
first one, let's see, 66 million dollar budget, 909 no $99.8 million gross.
Hmm.
Not sequel stuff, but and
Yeah.
I'm sure you know this, Matt. For everyone else, it made a gaggle fuck of money in the DVD market.
This is a made for DVD movie in a weird way. Like not to belittle it, but it is something where it has an appeal towards horror kids, right? But they're less likely to see it in theaters. So it's definitely going to hit that nerd DVD market a lot easier than it's going to hit theaters, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing that helped it. And it was just kind of everywhere. I do remember the advertisements for this being very strong. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there were character posters. I remember character posters for it, which is always to me a good sign of a
Yeah, I
movie.
always remember the bit in the trailer where he's like, "How big could it be?" and then gets dragged away by the tentacle.
Yeah, that was in like every ad.
Yeah,
Uh,
not a bad
I
moment
think
to put
that
in an ad.
yeah. It's so funny that like though I remember that being in all the ads. I'm finally seeing the movie, and that's like the climax of the film.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's
There's
always
like
very
15
funny to
minutes
me.
left in the movie.
Yeah, like literally, that's him going to fight the final monster. Like that is not him fighting like a generic sub monster. It's just him going to do the final showdown, which is very funny to me. Um, but yeah, and then I think the other element in here is that like uh Ron Perlman just looked like Hellboy.
Yeah.
It's a little similar to Conan the Barbarian, where Arnold Schwarzenegger exists, and it's like he has to be Conan. Like the guy just looks like Conan the Barbarian. We can't not do it with him, even though he can't speak a fucking word of English. He's got to pay. He's got to play Conan the Barbarian. So, I think similar happened with Ron Perlman, and it's just crazy where it's like, yeah, he's gonna be the star of a superhero movie, which in 2004 superhero movies are they make money, but they're not huge and not guaranteed money makers by this point. And it's like, and it's not even like he's not one of the top guys either. He's Hellboy. Like, how many people knew who Hellboy was before Hellboy the movie existed?
Hmm. Yeah, not a lot. I'd wager.
Yeah. So it's just it's bizarre to me this movie even exists. So it's why I can kind of give it a slide on just being like, yeah, the movie's just kind of like there's a bad guy and there's a monster. Like
Mhm.
they're doing some Cthulhu shit. Um, oh, this is probably a good example of this like the slow creep of Lovecraftian stuff going mainstream, right?
Oh yeah, big time,
Like, like
big
what
time.
before this? There is Lovecraft. There's obviously like Reanimator and shit, but like that's Reanimator is like barely Lovecraft. what before this in a mainstream outlet is Lovecraftian?
I mean, I would argue Reanimator is not even that mainstream,
Yeah,
frankly. Yeah.
but I'm just saying like that is the closest it came, right?
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean, the giant tentacled monster in the void of space is in the end of this movie. You know,
yeah.
like
I mean, there's all sorts of Lovecraftian imagery in this, and that's
yeah, even
mostly
the
Del
little guys, the
Toro,
little
I would
monsters.
argue. Yeah, yeah. I think that's mainly Del Toro's thing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like I'm kind of in a similar like when was this? Is there's not really another example before this of that imagery in a mainstream movie that I can think of off the top of my head.
No, same. And again, even outside the mainstream, like I'm sure some people who like if you're subscribed to Shudder and Bloody Disgusting and Fangoria, someone will be like, actually, and you'll be right. I'm just saying I can't think of any off the top of my head, like
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
that made that same
Well, I mean,
mark in my brain.
you have movies like Alien and The Thing, which have a Lovecraftian vibe to it, right?
Yeah.
But they don't have the dark fantasy element of Lovecraft's work,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah. Those are
Um,
the things that are clearly inspired by it without striving to just be it. This
yeah,
is Del Toro like kind of flexing his geek sword
yeah,
and being inspired by it and making it his own, but also like yeah, I do love Lovecraft. Like and you will too.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
look into him too
exactly.
much.
Well, yeah. Not much you can do there,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Although I will
Uh,
say, to give him some roundabout credit, it is the super evil mega Nazis that bring about the Lovecraftian apocalypse attempt.
yeah, well, I
So,
mean, part of uh part of Del Toro's thing is kind of reclaiming works of fantasy that are more conservative for a more leftist position, right? Like that's
mhm.
kind of the whole point of Pan's Labyrinth, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like think of how many fairy tales it's riffing on where the message of the fairy tale is like stay in your place, girl. And Pan's Labyrinth has the opposite message of that.
Hmm.
Um, and it's very much about the trappings of those kinds of tales. Um, and has like the most comical fascist villain of all time in a good way. Um,
Yeah.
so there's obviously a lot of stuff like that. But I'm trying. I was just I can't really think off the top of my head of the too many um anything I would associate with Lovecraft in the mainstream beforehand.
No, yeah, it's slim pickings to say the least. Even if there's like a secret list, like the 10 movies you didn't realize were Lovecraft adjacent or something like that. Like again,
Yeah.
it would
Well,
be
it's like
slim
also like
pickings.
it is the Stuart Gordon. Stuart Gordon did like 5 Lovecraft adaptations in the '90s, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and God bless Stuart Gordon. I'm not criticizing him in the slightest. He's working on a way different budget scale than Del Toro ever had to, apart from Kronos. But
yeah,
even Del Toro was like, he loves that stuff, but he wants to see like the untethered Lovecraft adaptations that don't
yeah.
have to sort of like fit into traditional narrative cinema funding process. It's
Well,
like
again,
no, you
it's
can get there
what he said.
now.
He's more interested in the aesthetic than the mechanics of it.
Hmm.
Like that's what he's always said. And to me, that I think that's what people butt up against when it comes to his movies, right?
Hmm.
Where they're like they're and I say they'll be like, yeah, but the story itself doesn't capture the thing it's trying to do. And I don't fully agree in approaching Del Toro's work that way. I feel like you can make a similar argument for Zack Snyder, right? I'm just
Hmm.
less interested in what Zack Snyder is laying down than Del Toro, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
which is
but
something I think probably Nolan understood about their aesthetic interests. It's like that's why he probably went to them for Man of Steel. So I find that very fascinating too. And
Del Toro does seem like a weird choice for a Superman movie, though. Like, but so does Zack Snyder. So,
mhm,
what do I know?
yeah. Well, he was also tapped to do Thor at one point before leaving. Del Toro,
But
that is.
that makes a little bit more sense, though.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that makes a little bit more sense in terms of being like the guy who did Hellboy. Yeah, he can do Thor,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And I know people what not that I brush up against this again for Hellboy, which is like it's just so him. It's just so Del Toro. But I know other people kind of brush up against that original Thor in the same way I've talked about like the more critical aspects of this movie with like, do you really need those characters there? Do you really need to scale this down here? Do you what about all the cool fantasy shit? And now I'm like, I kind of like I do love that first Thor so much and but whatever, whatever. We're not here to talk about that. I
yeah,
want to talk
I
about
don't. Just want to throw that out there. I don't love that movie.
but okay, so you watch Pan's Labyrinth after Hellboy, and then you see the trailer for Hellboy 2. That's how it happened for me. Is that how it happened for you?
Actually, I think I told this story, but I'm going to tell it again. The first Comic Con I go to
Oh, yes, but
is
tell it in again.
the year before Hellboy 2 comes out, and Del Toro's there. He's not the first panel. The first panel I made it into was for the Incredible Hulk movie, which was supposed to have what's his name? Um, who's the guy? Uh, fuck. Edward Norton was supposed to be there, and he wasn't. Uh, but Lou Ferrigno was. So I saw a bit of that. I saw the guy who directed Wanted, and that was an incredibly awkward panel.
Aw.
Um, that because I don't know the director's name. But he at the time didn't have a great master of the English language, so he had a guy up there
Mm.
kind of going, not translating for him, just repeating what the audience asked back to him in a way that would hopefully help him understand it more.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
and it was that was a very awkward panel. I just remember that. But I was like, well, that looks like a strange film, and it did get me to see Wanted in theaters, so I guess it worked. Um, I saw I saw the premiere trailer for Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie at a panel that was Seth Green was on
Mm.
for Star Wars, and whenever that came out, people were like, "Fuck this! We'll never like Ahsoka." Oh boy, people, Diego,
Yeah.
people.
People are silly.
Mm. But then the highlight ended up being Del Toro there, who I was aware of and who I knew about, but like I wasn't like I wasn't like on the I can't say I was on the hype train. This is probably 2007 is when I go see this likely, and it would have to be, I guess. And that's my big year for like I'm getting in the movies. I know who directors are and stuff. But it's probably also the year I jumped like feet first in the nerd culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm as responsible for this terrible world we live in as anyone else. Um, but so like I'm there, I'm excited, and he comes out, and I'm expecting because I'm still thinking of Pan's Labyrinth, and that movie really moved me and had a profound effect on me, and I'm expecting like a more artistic guy, and he comes out, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was something along the lines of like, "What's up, motherfuckers?" and was just like kind of a madman. And was really entertaining and was just like it's classic Bill It's just like he was super earnest and also geeking out about everything and super excited to just be talking about Hellboy. Brought the whole cast out. Um, did a great Q&A which involved like a kid getting up and being like, "Hey, I go to your website all the time and you talk about the journals you keep where you draw." And I started doing that, and Del Toro was like, "Oh, I would love to see your drawings after the show." And it was just like really great. They had like I think Drew Struzan did like a limited edition poster, which is very clearly Del Toro being like, let's get Drew Struzan to do the poster, and the studio being like, we don't do posters like that anymore. And then instead they put out a really generic Hellboy poster.
Mm-hmm.
um, and he was like, "There's a limited edition of it, and here's one of them. And when this panel's over, I'm gonna throw it into the crowd so you guys can fight over it." I remember that. Um, and then the other really cool part was they show the trailer. Lights go down for the trailer, right?
Mm-hmm.
We watch it. It's really cool. And then when the lights come back on, all of the costumed monsters are on stage and are fully moving, and it's got people in them, and so it just ruled. Um, what was it was a real highlight of my young nerd life.
Yeah, that sounds like the best panel presentation ever, frankly.
Yeah, I didn't go to too many panels, but like that's been like it's one where like I still think about it, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I mean like that's the thing. There's this whole I had very mixed feelings about how Comic-Con handles stuff like Hall H and shit like that and how they're like
I was just this was the New York Comic Con, not San Diego Comic
yeah,
Con.
yeah, yeah, but
So
the idea that like okay, you're like waiting to see these people and then they basically just talk at you for like an hour. Look, I love artist discussions as well. I love the directors on director stuff, but I'm like, you kind of do want them to put on a show, and that's not always on them. Sometimes that's a different aspect of the production that should put that on, right? Like there's a whole lot of stuff going on
yeah,
there, but you do
well, it's
want them to kind of put on a show a little bit.
yeah.
I'm not telling
Well,
the directors and the actors to plan it out, but someone
Comic Con
should.
has just become such a propaganda wing of nerd culture, right? Like it is not.
Mm-hmm.
It is no longer the like because this is the same year. I think part of the reason why I went to New York Comic Con is that I'm also drafting off of how cool the stories coming out of San Diego Comic Con that year were, which that was the year of the Iron Man trailer. Remember when that? And like people were like, "Holy shit!" Um, and the viral marketing they were doing for the Dark Knight, where
That's
they
right.
didn't really
Yeah.
show anything, but they were doing the money with the Joker's face on it, and like getting people to like mobilize and shit. Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot of cool viral marketing stuff going on. Um, and now again, it is much more of a like, here's the trailer, here's the actors, here's the seven talking points. Chris Hardwick is going to do a terrible job moderating this, and
Yeah.
we're done. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I talked about it a little bit on the Alien Romulus stuff, but like the Alien Romulus panel was tons of fucking fun. It felt like a little show, frankly. Um,
yeah.
but it doesn't sound like it compared much to the fucking monsters showing up from Hellboy 2, you
No,
know?
no, that rule. That was
Although they did
awesome.
have face huggers skittering about, which was very cool.
That's pretty
Uh,
cool.
yeah, like
Um,
yeah,
but
they
like,
were hype. It was hype.
yeah. But also, I gotta say, like, that is pretty cool. Also, I did mention in my build up like four other panels that were deeply underwhelming.
Yeah, yeah. And look, sometimes
Deeply,
that just happens. It's fine.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
I think that's part of the Comic Con thing is like, are you gonna sit through five shitty panels for one great one, right? Like,
yeah,
because once you're in the hall, you're kind of stuck there.
yeah.
And I I don't remember what they were talking about after, but I do remember that I was kind of like, once the Del Toro one was over, I'm like, okay, I think that's the call for me to leave.
Hmm.
And I got up and left the hall at the point, and then just did regular Comic Con stuff afterwards. Um,
Yeah.
but that was a big deal in the moment.
So you were very excited for Hellboy 2 after that.
Yes, I was. And there's definitely like more hype than I was where I kind of just saw Hellboy because I thought it looked cool and like I was a horror kid, so like it was kind of adjacent to that.
Mm.
But Hellboy 2 was like I am here for Hellboy. And 2008 was kind of a year like that. Like it's the Dark Knight year, right? It's the Iron
Hmm.
Man year, you know. And Indiana Jones is the other big one.
That's right.
2008. Um, I was hyped for Hancock, which I regret in retrospect.
I
Um,
think the first two-thirds of the movie are pretty much the best thing Peter Berg ever made.
yeah, I don't like Will Smith when he plays assholes.
Hmm. I think that's the
I
best
don't think
version of it, but I would agree with
I
we
think
talked about that. Yeah, I agree with you.
Bad Boys is his best version of that because part of it is him being you're kind of like you're not really an asshole.
Yeah.
Like that's part of it.
He's the
Um,
traditional asshole with the heart of gold. Just happens to be Will Smith, so it works. Yeah.
can I tell? Because Pride Month just ended.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Happy Pride.
can I t- can I tell my Dark Knight Mamma Mia story?
Yes, please.
I think I've told it on the podcast, but I'll
Do
never
it
forget
again.
this. So Dark Knight comes out. I go to the movie with my buddy. We get there. There's a huge line. And we're like, oh, we were an hour early. And we're like, oh, that must be for the screening that's about to happen. And it's like, no, that's an hour from now. And you're like, oh shit. So we bought tickets for the 2 hour later showing of The Dark Knight. And then immediately got in line, and we were already like 12th in line for a screening 2 hours away. And remember, the counter programming that weekend was Mamma Mia. Um, and so we're standing in line, and when you're off to the side. I don't know if this doesn't happen anymore in the age of reserved seating, does it? Of just like
Mm-mm.
your line is off to the side waiting, and they're letting the any other movie that's playing and people going to see that, they're letting those people in, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm standing there, and I'm basically near where you walk into the multiplexes. And as I'm standing there, this gay couple comes by, and I'll just say it was very obvious what they were there to see. And they're walking by, and the one boyfriend goes, "Oh, what's that line for?" And I just remember the one going, "Oh, they're just here to see the Batman," really dismissively.
they
And
sound like
I'm
a
not,
they sound like a Gotham goon or something like
I
that.
know they did. They 100% did in the horrible 80s coded gay villain way. They sounded, "Oh, they're just here for the Batman." And I'll never forget that. And I'm sure they had a great time at Mamma Mia, which is all that matters. I saw The Dark Knight, they saw Mamma Mia. We probably both had a great Friday night. They probably had a better Friday night, frankly. Oh, cinema was changing in 2008.
Yes,
Um,
it was.
Very
Did it?
different was the release of Hellboy 2, where I saw that by myself because I couldn't get anyone else to go.
Yeah. But did you
So,
like it?
um, I was kind of let down in 2008.
Okay.
Um, as someone who was really hyped on it, and I can safely say, all these years later, I do like it more, but I kind of don't vibe with it as much um, as some people do.
All right, and that's this podcast, everyone. Thanks for
All
tuning in.
right, hey,
If you want to hear more bad opinions, go listen to the rest of the retrospectives. Um, yeah, I love this movie. I've loved it since day one. I just so imaginative. I find the fantasy elements breathtaking. I find the story so much more moving. It's so much more Del Toro, even though it's in the first film, but like this is the logical next production step after doing Hellboy and Pan's Labyrinth. It's like, how do I do both at the same time? Here you
yeah.
go. It is
I will
exactly that.
I will say I think I wish I had uh maybe watched it twice for this episode because I rewatched and I hadn't watched it in a while. Um, and in fact, I was kind of shocked. I don't own the DVD of Hellboy 2,
Oh,
which
okay.
is a little sad. So that's something I'll have to rectify. Maybe I'll wait and see if this gets a 4K release, which I doubt will happen considering how fucked up the rights are for Hellboy currently.
Yeah.
Um, but I was a little shocked at that. And I gotta say, I think the problem I had when it was out and when I was rewatching it this time was I think it starts on a really bad foot. I think part of it is here's the thing. Del Toro clearly had a story he wanted to tell with Hellboy 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think the story he wanted to tell with Hellboy 2 is a good one. That's maybe what I would have said differently in 2008. Like in retrospect, I think the story he's telling with Hellboy is good. But I think that the getting there in sort of taping Hellboy 1 to Hellboy 2, right? Like the table setting we had to do, I think that part's a little rough and it gave the movie a bit of a deficit it took me a minute to get out of. Now, having rewatched it and responding better to the second half of the movie, um, better than I thought I would. I think maybe if I sat down and rewatched it like immediately right now, I'd be able to look past some of the stuff I bumped up against in the first Not even half of it. Like it's kind of just the first fourth maybe of the
Okay.
movie.
Is it
Um,
everything until he's like kind of blown out the window and they're like, secret's out?
it's a little bit of that. It's that and like a little bit of the aftermath of that.
Okay.
It really I think it is one where like once they get to the city, the underground city,
Uh
that's
huh.
when I'm more interested in it, right? But
Mm.
like yeah, I think until then it's a little bit like of in terms of what I'm responding to. Like I really don't like Jimmy Kimmel's cameo.
Okay.
That I just this was an era where we did that a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of the worst one I can think of off the top of my head is remember Evan Almighty? Remember that movie?
I do. Because for some
Uh,
reason, this is not a slide against you. You're the only person to keep bringing up how bad that movie is. I think you're
it's
the
a
one
terrible film.
unintentionally holding up, like, holding its
Well,
legacy.
here's the thing. One, I loved Bruce Almighty when it came out. Now, Bruce Almighty is a movie where when I sat and rewatched it like 5 years ago, I'm like, oh, this is terrible, actually. Uh,
That
so
happens.
that yes, that certainly does happen. Um, and I saw Evan Almighty in theaters and was very disappointed by it at the
And I
time.
mean, look, it
Uh,
is one of the biggest bombs of all time. Like,
that's it.
it's
It's I'm
not
just
unjust to bring it up on this show.
yeah, it's just something to me where I'm just like, it's interesting that I saw a movie that is notorious for A, being the most expensive comedy ever made, and B, being one of the biggest bombs of all time. Um, and just a truly foolish attempt at a movie, frankly. Um, Very bad in a lot of ways. But that has a scene in it where um, they show Jon Stewart on The Daily Show making fun of Evan for building his ark, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of and it's one of those things where because it's not, no Daily Show writers wrote that scene, so it's very unfunny. It's the writer of the film wrote that scene, and they're not.
Mm.
They say what you will, but they don't write for the Daily Show, so it's weird watching someone try to imitate the voice of the Daily Show. And I felt a little similarly with the Jimmy Kimmel moment in uh, Hellboy 2. Now, again, that's a very, very deep nitpick for a movie, right? Like that is,
Yeah.
but it is a like, oh, yeah, I'm not into that as
No,
much.
but look, if small stuff starts like snowballing to you, like I recently described me watching a film that just released in theaters the day we're recording this, basically. And I was like,
Mm,
look, it's not terrible, but there's a lot of shit I didn't like in it. And by the end, I was just kind of like, fuck it, even though I think people will
mm,
respond more positively to it. Like it
mm.
happens.
Which one
Um,
is that?
it was the new Jurassic World, which I don't think is like
Yeah,
abysmal, but there was just a bunch of stuff that kept building up, and I was like, I don't like this anymore.
there's no possible way it's worse than Jurassic World, but it's probably still not good, right? And I probably will get annoyed with it in a way that yeah, that's although like I said, yes, there's like there was definitely a snowballing in the beginning of Hellboy 2, but it is a like it pulled out of it for me, right?
Hmm.
That like
Yeah.
it righted the ship. I just think I would probably respond a little bit better if I were to sit down and rewatch it again right now.
Hmm.
Um so that's kind of the main element of it. I also think the flashback with young Hellboy is a little awkward.
Oh, you do? I really like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little awkward for me. And I feel like that was just an excuse to get John Hurt in the film
I
again.
mean, maybe, but is that wrong?
Really, I love John
No,
Hurt, so it was
no.
cool to see him. Um, and sad when he dies. His characters like barely exist in the comics, and they made him like a big part of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, so
I told you didn't have to watch the subsequent adaptations, but we'll get there. How they handle that character in the immediate attempt at reigniting the franchise is like wow. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I really love this movie. I didn't know all the different versions they initially tried to create for Hellboy 2, like what the story was gonna be. I guess, they were Del Toro thought about like adapting the Universal monsters for antagonists at some point. There was going to be the an adaptation of the Almost Colossus story, which would have featured Roger the Homunculus, a character from the comics. And then eventually it starts becoming its own original concept. And originally, Del Toro was going to have the story revolve around the different titans, which would have been manifestations of the elements earth, wind, water, and fire. And then he replaced it. He whittled it down to it being about titans with a golden army. And I not that there was any bad blood between Mike Mignola and Guillermo del Toro, but I do remember conversations
Are
about it
are
where
we
like
sure there's no bad blood?
I'm not. I'm just saying from my passing knowledge of their relationship, there was always little comments Mignola would make about like, I'm much more into like the gothic and like the elements and the monster elements, and Del Toro is much more into like the clockwork and the fantasy, and there's a lot of that in the sequel. It's like, interesting
Well, I
comment.
don't
Not
I,
incorrect,
I don't
but
know.
interesting.
I don't know if you remember, but when it was announced that Hellboy 3 was dead, uh, back when people liked Jeffrey Tambor, uh,
I know exactly what you were gonna say. I
yeah,
was gonna hold on to it,
Jeffrey
but go for it anyways.
Jeffrey Tambor put Mike Mignola on blast on Twitter, and called him disloyal to Del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, and I think it's pretty clear that whatever happened, it was clear that it probably came down to what Mignola wanted to do, right? Am I saying his name right? I've realized I've never said his name out loud before.
I think it is. We've mispronounced other
Mignola.
people's names on the show.
It's one of those where like I've never said his name out loud ever in the
Okay, it,
past.
it looks like
So
Mignola.
Mignola. I'll try my
Yeah,
best. So apologies to him. Apologies to this man.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, there was that weird sort of unspoken of tension, I guess, between them, and I guess it came down to what he wanted to do with the sequel as opposed to what Del Toro wanted to do. And by that point, Del Toro's in a weirder spot, you know. I think he's a little
Mm-hmm.
more battered, and doesn't, because it's very clear when you look at the different pitches that they were talking about, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
very clear what was being pitched when, and you can tell what was probably pitched immediately after the release of Hellboy 1, and then how the pitches changed in the wake of Pan's Labyrinth, right? When an Oscar
Yeah.
nomination could actually get you more pull with a major studio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that is the reason why, despite the first one kind of underperforming, it was like we got to fast track this thing because now we're playing with a hot hand because we got Del Toro who's like he's doing this and he's about to do The Hobbit. Like I think people were like this guy is the next big thing,
Mm-hmm.
and Hellboy 2 was at least the chance to prove that, and it did make more money. And then I guess it just wasn't enough for people, in terms
Yeah.
of how it shook out at the end of the day.
All right. So you run up into problems with like the first quarter of the movie. You would say roughly what is your favorite stuff in the movie? Because I could just list everything and be like, I love this, I love that. But I'm curious now, like, what did you respond better to this time, having not loved it all the time?
I mean, I think it is something where I don't know if I responded to it better this time. Just I it's what I always like, and I just kind of liked it more. It's just like all the monster stuff. Like that's really what I'm here for, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not. It doesn't take a lot to please me with this type of stuff. But yeah. So like I said, once they get to what's the underground? What's the city called? Does it have a name?
Yeah,
Um,
it's the troll market, I think.
yeah. Once they get to the troll market, I'm kind of like, now we're talking. Like that's
I'm
kind of
not
the
a
vibe.
baby. I'm a tumor.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like also, and it's all real for the most part. Like it's it's just yeah, it's that's what I really respond to
yeah.
in
And
it.
I think our boy Roger Ebert even referred to it as like, oh, this is like the Star Wars cantina scene. It's that level of artistry on display here.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's Del Toro is someone where there are people like him. I would say like Miyazaki is this for animation, where it's just like 30 seconds of their work can have more imagination in it than entire franchises, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's more in that just market scene than like most of Star Wars' output in recent years, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, and so Del Toro, it's just it's such a shame. And but although I've heard Del Toro's a bit of a tough cookie to work with, um, not in a mean way, just I think he's a very demanding director, and I think he asks for a lot from studios that studios are very unwilling to give in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he plays the game that strong. Although I say that, and he does have like we talk about all the projects he didn't get made. He does have a shit ton of projects compared to other filmmakers.
Yeah. I mean, he's never not working. You know,
Yeah,
like we
he's
mourn people like the Mike Nichols and such of the world who really struggled to get stuff off the ground. You know, or like basically pick out any of your favorite filmmakers that make movies for less than $50 million. They're gonna have a hard time lately. That aren't in the horror genre. Also,
yeah,
like Kelly Reichardt has to teach at NYU to make a living
yeah.
because she doesn't get it from filmmaking. You know, so yeah, it always does suck to be like, yeah, man, we lost out on another Guillermo del Toro project, but
Mm.
he's working.
Yeah, it's just one of those like all of his like misses are like some of the great what ifs of cinema. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, there's not really anything on that list that we went over that's like, yeah, that probably wouldn't have been very good. It's like, oh, you could
yeah,
see it. You could see it.
but it is a like yeah, and at the same time he's producing other movies. He's got a few TV shows out there. He has less right now, right? And I think this might be because of where the industry is at.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I don't know if we're getting another Cabinet of Curiosities.
I don't
Uh,
know. I really hope so.
I think it's a very easy one to do, so I don't know why they don't do it because it's just an anthology show.
Hmm.
Um, but like yeah, like his Frankenstein's the big one, but also he is in the Netflix world. Netflix just fucks everything up.
Yeah.
I mean, like their Frankenstein movie comes out in November. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't understand that one either. That's clearly like the beginning of October, at least.
Yeah,
Like, come on, guys. It's Frankenstein.
how? Yeah, like what's going on? What really, truly, what is going on at Netflix? Truly, like it's beyond just bad decision making at this point. Like post the
I don't know.
Russos flaming out there, I have so many questions.
It's I don't know. I don't have a spreadsheet or anything like that, but it sounds like everyone in the world, they don't know where the industry's going yet, and so I think they're bets. And I'm just assuming this, and I can't even begrudge this. I'm just assuming that the fast, cheap, reliable output of stuff like reality television is where they're making their bread and butter right now, and they don't know how to capture the zeitgeist with high quality narrative nonfiction or fiction productions. So
Are they
I
just too
do,
far
yeah.
gone? Like, is it just too far gone? Because it's like Netflix is now no longer associated with quality, as is streaming. Like, no one
Mhm.
associates streaming with quality.
I don't think it's too far gone. I do think
Although
it's an uphill battle, like a big one.
we just had
And
though, I think it was Netflix was the K-pop Demon Hunters, um,
yeah. And
which
I
has
no
been
longer
like a
have Netflix for the record, and now I feel like I'm missing out for the first time in a long time
well,
because of that
too
movie.
bad there's zero other way to possibly watch K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yep.
But
Yep. If
uh,
only.
the one the one good thing Netflix has put out,
Hmm.
right? Uh, it's one movie. It's 100 minutes. It's one. Um, so, but I don't know. It's again, not that, I guess this really is the thing is that there's no leadership anywhere anymore, right? Like
Hmm.
you feel like if you were Netflix, you should be like, we should be pushing the industry somewhere, right? Like we're not, we shouldn't be listening to some algorithm. We should be telling people this is the next thing, right?
Hmm.
And instead, they're listening to whatever their focus groups and algorithms are telling them. And it's like, it makes something like the electric state, which doesn't have a single thing in it that stands out from anything else around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's in sharp contrast to something like Hellboy to the Golden Army, which is like, that's a fucking Hellboy movie. I'm never going to mistake that for something else.
Yeah, you see a single image from this movie throughout any second, any millisecond of the runtime, the 120-minute runtime. Oh, that's nice. It's just a nice even 2 hours. Um,
Mm.
yeah, it's unmistakably like it's either Hellboy or Hellboy 2. And it's probably gonna look more like Hellboy 2 because there's so much more fantasy shit in it, and it's terrific. I want to give a shout out to cinematographer Guillermo Navarro, who did Pan's Labyrinth with Del Toro as well, the first Hellboy, and Pacific Rim. They haven't worked together on the same production in a while. He did shoot an episode of Cabinet of Curiosities. Um, Quality director. I think that episode's script could have been a little tighter, but that happens with anthology sometimes, so that's fine. But he's such a talented cinematographer that I do wish they did more together. He's got a really great way of like Del Toro obviously really likes his wider lenses right now, and I think
Mm.
Navarro he split the difference very well between just like quote unquote normal lenses like 50s and 35s with the wider sweeping stuff whenever it was necessary, like when Hellboy's facing off against the giant plant god, um, which is like a total dry run for what we'll see in Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Like how they shoot that together and how they light the actual the non CG sequences of that, like with the flowers on the street and that the Hellboy saves sequence. It's just it's so great. It is so great. Look at that, a nighttime sequence where you can see shit and it's got so much color. The textures are so rich. The
What
environment feels alive.
what if we didn't see anything?
Well, then it would be a streaming movie.
Exactly.
Uh, and you know what? You know what
Um,
fucking kills me? You know what fucking
mm,
just obliterates me, makes me so upset? Is that there are plenty of talented people working today who know how to how to read a monitor properly. To the point where like listening to my beloved Team Deacons podcast, they rightfully also called out like when people look at the monitor and you see the little graph of like how much light and how it looks in the monitor. These monitors show you like what stop lights you're at. Like how okay, this you're at the 0 mark right here. Okay, that's going to be a perfectly balanced image more or less for what you're trying to achieve there. If it's a little lower, it can look cool and contrasty on the monitor. What that does is it means if it's below that line, that baseline, that means you don't actually have enough information. And sometimes you just got to trust the math behind it, you know? It doesn't matter. You need all the information to play with it later. You can't save an image later if you don't have enough information. And none of these fucking people know how to do that anymore, apparently, except the deacons and like 5 other people. So, I don't know. It's frustrating. Night sequences don't have to look like shit
does
like they
anyone
do right now.
Here's the question. Do people not know what they're doing, or are they not being allowed to do their jobs?
I think it's more the second part. I do think part of it is also the first part. There are some people that are just genuinely half-assing it, and that sucks.
Yeah,
And they're
there's
a
always
much
going to be
smaller
that.
contingent. I'm not saying everyone sucks. There's obviously so many talented, hungry people here. But I've seen trailers for stuff like Freakier Friday, and I get a little heartbroken a little bit.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. I do think it's very funny that it seems like the average person really noticed how bad things had gotten when the Happy Gilmore 2 trailer dropped.
hmm
I do think that's very funny. That's when the average person was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why does it look so much worse? I'm like, well, I'm
I
glad
mean,
someone
sometimes,
noticed.
yeah, sometimes that's what it takes.
Hmm.
Like when you least expect it, you're like, hold up, something's not right here. Hmm. Um, Speaking of stuff that's not right, what do you think about the villains in this movie compared to the villain in the last one?
You mean Elric?
Yes.
He's back.
Yeah.
I keep bringing up Elric on here. It's entirely kind of coincidental. Like I was not intending it, but it just keeps happening. Um, I will say I've gone down a rabbit hole where I've ended up on the Michael Moorcock Elric Reddit page.
Hmm.
And a lot of fans there are very salty about this villain looking basically almost exactly as Elric is described in the books, except maybe a little more muscular. Because Elric is supposed to be very thin and weak as
Mm.
a character. They're very salty about this and The Witcher,
Oh,
which I just find very funny. Um, So
yeah. Luke Goss as Prince Nuada. Luke Goss also played the bad vampire in Hellboy 2. Or like the banished,
Bla-
another banished prince.
yeah, in Blade 2, you mean?
Yeah, Blade
Um,
2. Whoops. Yeah. Um,
he hasn't done a ton. He kind of just shows up in like a lot of like direct to streaming and DVD movies these days. It seems
yeah.
like.
Oh,
Uh,
get the bag, whatever.
yeah, he's got a picture of himself in 1993 on his Wikipedia page. How'd that happen?
Oh,
It's some sort of signing.
oh,
I just find that
interesting.
amusing. What was he doing in '93?
I know. Yeah, I was like, wait, how old is he?
Yeah, what's going on here? Wait a second. Oh, I guess. Oh, he was in a band with his
Okay.
brother. Okay, good for him.
Yeah. I really like the prince and the princess stuff a lot. Princess Noala, played by Anna Walton. Um, I don't know. I just really respond to like the whole fantasy elves thing, like the desperate attempt at like reclaiming the world
Although
that's like moving on from them.
again, this did not bother me as much on this rewatch, but there is kind of a little bit of a like narrative deflation thing of like the solution to this problem being presented basically when they're introduced, right?
Hmm.
It's like, well, if one of them dies, they both die, right? And then it's like that's how it ends.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's tragic. I don't see that as like a hang up, I guess,
No, no,
or an issue.
I'm
I
not
just.
saying the setup is bad. I'm just saying that
Hmm.
to be like she's willing to die pretty early, right?
Uh huh.
And to stop her brother. And then it's like, what is she? But by the end of the movie, what is her decision? And it's like, well, it's the same decision she was basically willing to make at the start of the movie.
A little
That's all
bit.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. It's not
Um.
the worst. It's not the worst, and the movie's not really about them. So like, it's not. It's very clear that they basically had the idea and then just did it. Like,
Yeah. I really love her chemistry with Abe Sapien though. I really like those
yeah.
characters together.
Well, who doesn't have chemistry with Abe Sapien?
That's true. Yeah, there's a whole other movie about that.
Yeah, exactly. But Abe just. Oh, another thing. Doug Jones was at that panel. If you want to know what like was going on, in 2007, he basically like when they were opening up the Q&As and they were going around the people, he was like, "Hey, look, just before anyone asks, no, I do not know what's going on with the Silver Surfer movie. Like, I get asked about that everywhere I go. Like, I wish I'm excited, but like, I got nothing right now." Uh, I remember that
Oh.
pretty vividly.
Well, that worked out.
Oh, it did totally.
But we love Doug Jones.
Everyone loves Doug Jones.
Yeah. He also plays the Chamberlain, the doorkeeper for the king that gets killed, and the Angel of Death, the not Pan's Labyrinth leftover character.
Hmm. Is he
Um.
kind of like is he on the like downswing? 'Cause he's like 65 right now. Um,
Whew,
I guess he's
yeah.
been on Star Trek Discovery for a while at this point. Like he's been doing a lot of
Hmm.
television. So yeah, like he was doing that until literally last year, basically.
Hmm.
Um, which that's more of a performance heavy movie, which helps, right? I think
Yeah.
yeah, like post. I mean, there was that whole thing when like fucking Shape of Water came out, and they were like, he can't get an Oscar, which was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, that was
Um,
stupid.
but I think that did like boost him a little bit in terms of getting actual acting roles. It shouldn't have taken that long, but it did. But it's good to see that he was actually working. but he hasn't done too many movies lately. But that also just might be where the film industry is at, of course. Uh,
Yeah,
so
and yeah, I'm sure the even though it's like a streaming show, those Star Trek shows, like they must have made so much fucking money just shoveling them out so fast. Like he's probably more comfortable than he has been in a while, and good for him, you know.
I hope so. I just hope some of that, like, yeah, crossed over to him. Remember he was on the Guild. Remember the Guild,
You've talked about it before, and I only know, like passing knowledge of it.
the Felicia Day internet show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was well, it was like a big deal, when nerd culture was on the rise.
Hmm.
Um, it's basically just uh, it's just a like kind of situational comedy, but about a group of friends who play. I don't remember if it's explicitly World of Warcraft or an original MMO game. And I remember the first season was mainly about one of the characters has had like a break from reality basically, and now thinks they are their character
Mm.
from the game they play. And it looks like they made seasons up until 2013, which is a pretty long time in nerd circles, frankly.
Yeah, no, good,
Started in
good for them.
2007. Here's a good example of like how things shifted. It was at times released on YouTube, MSN Video, Xbox Live Marketplace,
Oh my god.
and the Zune Marketplace.
Oh my god. I mean
And it
that's
was
the
at
streaming beginnings in a nutshell right there, or the web
I
series
remember
beginnings.
I don't think this exists anymore, but Day and I think Will Wheaton had a hand in it. They had an internet thing called Geek and Sundry.
I
Um,
remember that very well.
and I think it was a very like early trying to be like it would probably do better now, unfortunately, but I think now it's a lot of the people that were integral to it have since left, right? I don't think
Hmm.
Felicia Day really has much to do with it. It feels like in the wake of like College Humor becoming Dropout TV, Geek and Sundry could have had a better. Although they famously had Critical Role on Geek and Sundry, and that spun off into an original thing, right? Um,
Yeah.
it's sort of like the Try Guys with BuzzFeed Video.
Yeah. Um,
Neil Gaiman
Deborah.
was on the Guild.
Oh Jesus Christ.
Neil
Well, here's some
Gaiman.
positive. Here's some positive news.
Here's
Deborah
all
Ann
right. Look,
Wool
look,
was.
look. I keep bringing up Neil Gaiman because I still have not processed how awful all that is.
Oh no, I know,
Uh,
I know. I liked him too. Many
we're
people
all
did.
I'm doing very badly as a result.
And I'm very sorry to hear that.
Uh, but I think he was on the same season Doug Jones was on. I think, if I remember correctly, the season Doug Jones was on of the Guild took place entirely at a Comic Con, so they were basically able to like do as many cameos as humanly possible in it, which I think is why
I
Neil Gaiman is in that.
Yeah,
And if I
I
remember
kind of
Doug,
I like that idea. That
yeah,
sounds fun and like that's smart producing.
and if I remember, Doug Jones is a steampunk cosplayer. There's like a group of steampunk cosplayers, and they're very elitist compared to the other cosplayers. And I think their Zeppelin crashes into the Comic Con stage. I distinctly remember that being a plot element of the Guild. Uh,
What
maybe
a
they should bring
different
it
fucking
back.
world.
Maybe they should bring it back.
I don't know about that. But
They should bring it back. We should just do it now. Why not?
sure, there's no more rules anymore. Oh, a new addition to the cast this time is Seth MacFarlane as Johann Kraus.
Yeah, who was not the original choice, by the way.
No, no, he was
Uh,
not.
it was what's his name? Who's that guy?
Thomas
Uh,
Kruschman, who is like
yeah,
one of those German actors who basically just plays Nazis and was also the boat captain in Peter Jackson's King Kong.
he was Wolfgang von Strucker in the MCU, and they basically wasted him. Um,
Yeah, he gets like three scenes.
that's one of the most embarrassing uses of a character and actor in the entire MCU.
You think
Um,
so?
yes, he's a
All
good
right.
actor, and that's a fun character. He
Yeah.
has three scenes. You didn't. Why does he die? He dies off camera.
Yeah, that's not great.
There's no reason for it. It's almost like fucking Joss Whedon didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah, I am not gonna defend that decision. So,
Mm. I wonder if I think Joss Whedon might have had a cameo in the Guild too.
well, he was tight with Felicia Day.
Everyone was tight with Felicia Day though for a little bit. Like she
Yeah,
was
no,
cool.
she was kind of like the face of like female geekdom on the internet.
Yeah, which people were really chill about in the day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unlike now, there was definitely no difference.
Yeah, everything's great.
Yeah.
Everything's
Uh,
so fucking great. But it is very interesting to be like, okay, he didn't work. What's the logical next step? Oh, Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, it's like a borderline parody, like gag in like a comedy. It's like, oh, well, this European thespian not working out. Family Guy.
And he's
Like,
basically doing the German fish from American Dad.
yeah. Here's the thing. Pretty fun performance.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I
fun.
like
He's
Seth
good.
MacFarlane as an actor.
Here's the thing, part of me is like, what is Seth MacFarlane? What's going on with him? Because I feel like we all just went like, I think we all just woke up one day and we're like, we hate Seth MacFarlane. And part of it, I think, was the return of Family Guy, right? Like,
Hmm.
but he had less to do with the return of Family Guy, and he worked more on American Dad. And American Dad has kind of had a better legacy, right?
Yeah, people are
Like, I think American
really
Dad was,
like are really gravitating to that one lately too.
yeah, people are kind of like, American Dad is actually good. Like, there aren't too many qualifiers in terms of the quality of it.
Hmm.
Um, And I don't know how it is now. It's one of those shows where I think it is still on despite no one watching it anymore. But uh, yeah, it was renewed for a 25th season.
Oh my god.
Uh, but yeah, and I think he had more to do with that. So maybe Seth MacFarlane actually is good, and he just doesn't want. At some point, he's like, "I'm done with this," but it keeps making people money and people are employed. So I will pass it on to other people that work for me.
Yeah, not a bad quality, frankly.
Yeah. I was wondering if maybe we've been hating on him too much. Maybe he actually knows what he's doing. Or he just has talented people in his orbit.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I also wonder if we just the way the movie ecosystem has like evolved or dissolved rather. The way he was kind of being propped up as like the next Mel Brooks almost, right? Like with
Yeah,
stuff
he
like
was like,
a Million Ways to Die in the West and Ted 2 kind of killing that a little bit.
yeah.
And he doesn't really
Remember
bounce back in movies from those.
remember he was gonna do a Flintstones reboot?
Mhm.
That was a big deal.
That
Um,
was.
and that just didn't happen.
No.
But I do think, yeah, he was kind of being positioned as a bit of a figurehead for animation, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And then at the same time, it was like this the South Park episode about Family Guy kind of fucking kills all of it, right? Like
Mhm.
that's one of the most public body blows animation series has ever taken.
Yeah. He also has an incredible singing voice.
Yeah,
You don't think so?
it's one of those where like I don't know, but he was so everywhere I got annoyed with it, right? Like it's
Okay, I can understand that.
I think that was another Patrice O'Neill joke. Um, where he talked about Seth MacFarlane, where he's like, Seth MacFarlane almost seems jealous of his own creation. It's like the people will love him beyond the cartoons, but he's like he's not better than the cartoons. So he's like, you need someone to slap him and slap him twice. Like slap him once so people don't forget why you don't forget why people love you, and two to just get you to say you're gay. It's like no straight man writes that many show tunes.
I forgot about that.
That's one of those. That's one of those. His roast. That was Charlie Sheen, right? Like he went up and roasted Charlie Sheen. Um,
I can't
and that was like a
remember.
breakthrough.
Oh my god, I
That was a
forgot those were
breakthrough
like so
moment.
popular.
Yeah, that was a breakthrough moment for Patrice O'Neill, and then he died like 6 months later. Like,
Interesting, interesting. Seth MacFarlane got my eye on you.
mm,
No, 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 no.
mm.
Obviously unrelated. But
What was the one where he goes? He's like Jeff Ross. Jeff Ross is like a legend. When I say legend, I mean like a myth. He's like the Loch Ness monster or Bigfoot. It's like, yeah, we all believe in it, but whoever really saw it? Some of his phrasing of that made me laugh.
um, but
R.I.P.
yeah.
Patrice, you would definitely be in the QAnon if you were still alive, but
Oh.
R.I.P. anyway.
Yeah. Lesser film. Seth MacFarlane is like the silver bullet that kills the movie, I think. But instead, I really like him in this. And
Oh, he's
talking to your
good.
point about like, oh, like just the way movies operate now, like this spin-off, this like how does this fit into a franchise? There's that moment at the end when Johann Kraus decides to help them because he himself is an outcast. He's like, ah, yes, a story for another time because I lost someone I loved before too, and it's like that's a comic book now, like nowadays or something like that.
Yeah.
But back then, it's just like, here's a beat in a moment that humanizes a character. Let's go to the third act now. And it's
Yeah,
like, all right.
we don't need it. You get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I like the Angel of Death sequence.
Oh, God, it's so great. This is fucking. I'm
That's really
telling you,
good.
everything in this movie, I'm like, this is the best shit of all time for me to look at forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, there is just like there is so much. It is very it is it is one of those where I'm like watching this being like, God damn, I can't wait for that Hobbit movie. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Uh, Everyone's dumb except us, Diego.
I know. I know. This is why we should run Hollywood.
That's why we should
Um,
run everything.
yeah. Yeah.
Put me in charge of the banks.
Sure, yeah.
Free money for everyone.
Yeah, that would. I mean, money's not real, so basically, just do that, and that will solve most problems. Um. Oh, I wanted to talk about the difference in composers. Marco Beltrami versus Danny Elfman this time. Boy, if you didn't know it was Danny Elfman after watching this movie, um, get your ears checked because it's just like there's so much like a dun, 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 dun. And
Yeah.
the first Hellboy is much more like the soft, melodic, a little melancholy, very lonely, very like isolated. It gets a little heavy and exciting towards the
I
end.
wonder if I wonder if the score actually affects how I view the movie.
You think maybe it's a bad fit?
Maybe. And we are very close to Danny Elfman has been phoning it in recent years.
Ye-
So,
Yeah.
is that a
Um.
controversial take?
Uh. I don't think so. If I'm being honest, there's some good stuff. He's got good stuff still.
He's
But
talented.
yeah.
He's a good composer. It's just that has he turned anything where I'm like, fuck yeah. I can't he did a Dracula movie with Luc Besson.
Oh.
Dracula, a Love Tale, directed by Luc Besson. Go fuck
Oh
yourself, dude.
no.
Uh,
Oh, that's
starring
bad.
yeah, starring Caleb Landry Jones and Christoph Waltz, who will basically say yes to anything.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh shit! I didn't know that. What the fuck?
it comes out in France in about 30 days.
Of course it does. Fucking god damn it! I was gonna say I liked his Doctor Strange 2 kind of there's a little bit of life in that score. Like when he brings in like the electric guitar and stuff like that. I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. And it's
You
like
mean
it's
when he
very
brings
good, but
in
I
you
don't
mean
think
when he
it's.
brings in the X-Men animated series score?
Oh, I forgot that's in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably
What
wasn't
is
his call, if we're being honest.
hello LOL. He did the woman in the window and got replaced by Trent. He replaced Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Ooh,
Oh boy.
yeah,
That's very funny. Yeah, if you look at it, it's not great when you look at what he's been doing. I just did
yeah,
White Noise, the Noah Baumbach movie no one liked.
yeah. I'm just trying to think. Is
Um,
there anything else like major that I really want to touch on with this? Besides just like the obligatory, that was awesome. That was cool.
yeah, that is we turn into I make fun of Del Toro for this, but it's kind of how I end up talking about his movies, where his commentary tracks are him just saying, "This shot was very important to me," over and over again.
Yeah. And it's like that's probably even true, but it's
Yeah,
not a conversation, you know.
yeah. It's not the biggest it's not the most interesting commentary, but it's just very funny.
Hmm.
Um, let's talk about Hellboy 2019 then.
Okay. Oh wait. Last thing I will say.
Oh wait,
Yeah, yeah. This is just very minor thing, but I really brushed up against initially Jeffrey Tambor going from like an ally at the end of the first Hellboy, like they put aside their differences and to him being back in an antagonistic role. I really like it now because it's like,
yeah.
look, when the chips are down, like these guys are going to work together to save the day. But he is still a human being and he's not gonna have a full understanding of like the perspective of the monsters in the movie, like the Hellboy and everyone else. So I really like that he's still just like a suit. He's still like a cowardly suit who doesn't get it in this one. And I'm
Yeah,
sure there
he's
would
a
have been
bureaucrat
another.
in charge of monsters. He clearly doesn't like his job.
Yeah, and clearly the aborted Hellboy 3 I think would have had some interesting uh context for a story between him and Hellboy again. Like, would they have been more antagonistic? Probably. Del Toro talked it up as like being a much darker film than the first two, and it's probably why Thomas Tull, the head of Legendary Pictures, who greenlit Pacific Rim 2 and almost greenlit Del Toro's Pacific Rim 2 as well. Um, like, I'm sure that's why they didn't give him money for it. I think he talked about
Mm.
it as being like a, you know, over $100 million production cost, and for a dark movie, they're not going to do that. Oh, excuse me. He said it would need about $150 million,
Yeah, like I was
which is
thinking, it was going to
twice
be
the
like an even
amount of the
bigger.
Golden Army.
Yeah, it was going to need an even bigger budget than what the movie had made. Like it would have, and yeah, it would have been darker. And they keep building up that like El Hellboy is going to be responsible for the world ending and shit. Like clearly that would have been what came to the forefront in whatever when we got to. And yeah, and then I just think that like that's where I was going in a different direction at the time. And I think I don't know if getting out of the studio system was like good for him, but like he clearly went a different direction, and I think as film viewers we benefited in a lot of ways because it's got him to do more interesting projects than maybe if maybe we'd be sitting here talking about, oh, Del Toro had so much promise and he got stuck making franchise movies all over the place,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like you never know what direction things could have gone.
Yeah, I mean, look, recently, like with Ryan Coogler, I didn't even clock with me, but he openly said, like, yeah, Sinners is the first original movie I've done. And I was like, that can't be true. And I was like, oh, Black Panther 2, Black Panther, Creed. Oh my God, those are all franchises. Oh my God,
Yeah,
they're all
exactly.
sequels and spin offs. And then even Fruitvale Station is an adaptation of real events, it's a
Mm.
biographical picture. And it's like, okay, well, a little different, but I see where he's coming from. It's not his story. He's sharing stories of a community with that one. And it's like,
It's great
wow,
to
like
see him so vindicated with the release of Sinners, right? That
yeah, it's
it
it's
basically
so
flies in the
great.
face of what everyone said would happen. Um,
Yeah, that is the feel good movie story of the year for me. That's my movie of the
and
year and everything.
again, look at how good it did with no one advocating for it, really, right? That
Mm-hmm.
like, look at what grassroots movements can do. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna keep banging this drum because I think it's gonna be very important for the next few years.
Yeah. And not that it had the opposite effect or I think it was just less successful, but with Guillermo del Toro, I'll never forget there's the last time maybe I was ever happy was it when Crimson Peak was coming out. He was on Comic Con or something like that. And one of the last things he did, he ran back on the stage and he was like, all right, Hellboy 3. And everyone was like, ah! Then he was like, at the Mountains of Madness. Yeah. And he was like, you may not think so, but they're listening in there. And then he walked away, and now neither of those movies happened.
Yeah, so clearly they weren't
And
listening well enough, but
yeah, yeah. Um.
so
So
what you're
yeah,
saying is we need
Hellboy
to go
3 doesn't
outside
happen.
Chuck Schumer's house and just scream, and then he'll finally listen.
Yeah. The big bad Hellboy adaptations. That's what we're calling them. That'll show them.
I'll show him. But when will Hellboy clarify his position on Israel?
Oh my god.
Do we really want a man like that in charge of anything? That'd be a great Hellboy 3. When will Hellboy clarify his position on the troll market?
um. All right,
Saying you don't
Hellboy.
want that? Are you saying that doesn't
Hellboy
play in Middle
2019.
America?
I was trying to think of like an equal statement to like globalize the Intifada, but I don't know what Hellboy adjacent thing there is there. Globalize the
Globalize the Golden
Hellboy.
Army?
Globalize the Golden Army. There we go. No, no, no,
Oh, it's
because that's like
also
monarchy bullshit.
I this doesn't bother me now, but in 2008, I was a little bothered that the Golden Army doesn't show up until like the last 5 minutes of the movie. Again, doesn't bother me now, but in 2008, I know it bothered me.
Yeah, I could see that. Um, I guess it's kind of a problem if you position them as like this unstoppable killing force that no one can really like stand
Mm.
against. Where if you did introduce, and again, I'm not like I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying like no, I could see why probably didn't want to introduce that too early because then it's like the movie can't stop after that. Like it has to be one big long action scene basically until credits. So yeah, probably for the best.
I
It is
don't I don't know
maybe.
what I don't know what the smart choice is, but I just remember being disappointed in 2008.
Yeah, I would say it would be maybe more disappointing if you pitched your sequel to a big monster movie as having like the scariest mutant monster dinosaur, and then it shows up in the last 15 minutes and doesn't do anything. That would be a bummer.
That Jurassic World, whatever.
Yep, Hellboy 2019.
Why are they doing the mutant dinosaur again? That was the whole
Uh,
premise of the first Jurassic World movie.
Hellboy 2019.
And say what you will about that movie, but that fucking the Dominus Rex showed up pretty early.
Directed by Neil Marshall. Screenplay by
Yes.
Andrew Cosby and a bunch of other people who were uncredited. Produced by too many people. Starring David Arbor, Mia Jovovich, Ian McShane. Um, did you watch this? I told you specifically I'm not going to ask you to watch these last two, but did you?
I saw it sometime after it came out.
Okay.
Um, but I haven't seen it since.
Okay. That's probably
And
for the
I
best.
also I think part of what happened here though is that this happens around the same time because one of the players involved in this is the Millennium Media people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this was around the time that the Red Sonja movie controversy was happening. Do you remember that controversy?
Yes.
Where it was going to be directed by Bryan Singer, and they were like, that it was like the only one that everyone was quietly distancing themselves from Bryan Singer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like no one really made like he is still credited on Bohemian Rhapsody, even though we know like other people took over at a certain point in that production, and a lot of people just quietly dropped him from things. The producer of the Red Sonja movie at the time came out defending him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, was one of the few guys being like, "We're not fucking firing Bryan Singer," and then as the pressure built, uh, and I think it was basically like after the distributors were like, "We will not do it with Bryan Singer involved." So it wasn't even like the public backlash. It was that Bryan Singer was finally kicked off that movie. So like that was hanging in the air when this movie was out, right?
Mm-hmm.
That so it was kind of like don't support this fucking movie because these idiots are involved, and then, like it had everything against it, right?
Yeah.
Like it just had like it was Del Toro's version didn't get made. It had this weird production thing going on with it, and then it just didn't look very good. And then no one really involved in it seemed too happy with the final product, so that doesn't help things. Um, I guess there is we've talked about this, there is a Red Sonja movie coming out like at the end of the year. Um,
Yeah. Directed by MJ Bassett, I believe, who was a very
mm,
talented director of television action. I think
yeah,
the only
and
movie I've seen of hers is the Silent Hill sequel she did, which was not good.
and and director of Solomon Kane, another Robert E. Howard creation.
Oh
Um,
right, yes. Oh
so
my god, I forgot about that one.
yeah, no one remembers that fucking movie,
Oh,
but
apologies to
uh,
MJ Bassett.
I feel like Red Sonja though you could get like here's one of the problems that they did this Hellboy reboot and it looks like R-rated Xena Warrior Princess reboot, right?
Hmm.
Like it looks significantly cheaper and is bad. I feel like you would get away with that a little more with a Red Sonja movie than a Hellboy movie, following up two movies directed by Guillermo del Toro, right?
Yeah, this movie had no chance.
This had no real chance to it. And yeah, and like Neil Marshall doesn't even have Neil Marshall is a guy that really did fall off. Um, that's a real shame right there.
Yeah, well, he's disowned the movie. It's basically not his. I think not that he's innocent in the story decisions, but I do think it's not the movie he set out to make. I know he talked about wanting it to be more in the tonal consistency of something like a Logan, which is like
Yeah.
probably like a statement to make executives happy. But I do think that can be his vibe, not that it wouldn't be fun. And I think some of the action in Logan is like fun, a very good movie still in my opinion. But
Mm.
this is a film critic I really like and admire. William Bibiani reviewed it back in 2019, and he called this Hellboy film like at its best, like much more adjacent to like for fans of Fangoria, just in terms of like the splatter
Yeah.
horror and the
That's
explosive
clearly
gore.
that's clearly what they were going for. Like they were
Yeah,
they I'll give them that. They were trying to pivot in a different direction. They weren't just trying to do Hellboy 3 without Del Toro, right?
yeah, yeah.
Like
Which is what you should
and
do, if you had to.
100%. I think that's worth commending. It was just it sounds like the production of this was a fucking nightmare.
Hmm.
Um
Every
and
10 to 15 minutes, this movie is like, wait, stop. Here's the backstory of all this stuff that you need to know about this character or this plot point.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, let's go to the next spot. Wait, stop. Here's all the other backstory for this new character and all the other characters in this backstory. All right, well, let's have a gory action scene. Wait, stop. I'm not joking. That's the entire movie
No,
until
that
it
that that
ends.
is the movie. It yeah, it feels massacred as a film.
Mm-hmm.
Um And
Um,
beyond that, there's not really much to talk about. Like it's very bad.
no.
David Harbour's a good Hellboy. Frankly, I do like him as
Oh,
Hellboy.
yeah. And
Uh,
I think he's
uh,
very fond of it, too. I don't know if you ever saw that video where he's showing off his home and he has a picture of or a poster, excuse me, of Masters of the Universe, and he's like, "Yeah, I really respond to the idea of uh, a well-respected actor putting on loads of makeup and giving a really deep and passionate performance in a movie that wasn't very well received." I was like, "Oh, poor
that's pretty
guy."
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Harbour has had a very strange career, right? Of
Hmm.
just remember he's one of those dudes that will never get his moment. Like that was kind of the attitude for a while, right? Like he kept
Hmm.
popping up in movies, but never got his due, really. And then Stranger Things is inexplicably this massive hit. And from that, he's had a full on career, right?
Hmm.
Like he goes from, Stranger Things, we talk about Suicide Squad, he's in Suicide Squad 1 as like just a secretary guy. And then cut to 3 years later, he's fucking Hellboy. Like,
Yep.
that's kind of impressive. Now
Yeah.
he's,
No.
Red Guardian. Um, and say what you will about that movie, but like that's pretty good for career wise. Um, and yeah, like he's had a career. I, I guess he's Frankenstein and Creature Commandos.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. He is.
well, good for him.
Yeah, no, he,
Uh,
he for what that character in that story is, he's a very good version of that.
mm.
Um,
There is a
I'm
universe
a
where I
big
feel like
fan.
I would have been super hyped for, like, had Hellboy 3 gotten made and then it was done, and then they were like, okay, now we're gonna do a new Hellboy movie with David Harbour. I probably would have been there for it a lot more
Hmm.
than the atmosphere in which this movie was released.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it's a real shame. I haven't I want to not softball this. This movie's fucking atrocious. It's really awful.
no, it's one where I will say there are flashes of inspiration,
Hmm.
and I do mean flashes, like blink and you miss it moments, surrounded by dreadful filmmaking decisions. It just doesn't feel finished. It feels very Suicide Squad 2016. Like it just feels like something went wrong
Yeah,
and no
yeah,
one
they're the
cared. And
same
they just
league. Yeah,
at a certain point, it just had to get out in the theaters. Um, didn't make
yeah.
any money.
Nope.
Like a much bigger bomb than any of the Hellboy movies up to that point. Uh, there was another Hellboy movie released just last year that is apparently basically they just keep making them so someone can hold on to the rights.
That's exactly
Um,
it.
and it and it went directly to video on demand. And I don't even know if there's I did not see it. I don't know if there's
I
anything to talk about
did.
with it.
I did. I will say that is a much better movie. This movie's problem, 2019's problem, is that no one knew what this movie wanted to be at any point in time, and they
Mhm.
just they steamrolled ahead, crashed into every table leg on the way to theaters. The 2024 Hellboy, The Crooked Man, which is an adaptation of that story, which I am now familiar with, in preparation for this podcast, um, is not awful. It's
Okay.
it's okay at best and very underfunded at worst. I have some questions about the alleged $20 million price tag. Um,
Okay, that's pretty
I'm
funny.
willing to bet not all of that went to the actual production of the film. It feels
Well,
more like a $2 million budget, if we're being kind.
maybe I'll check
Uh,
it out at some point. I feel like part of the again with like when you said Hellboy 2019, people didn't know what it was. 2019 is like the worst year to release a superhero movie, right?
mm-hmm.
Because like there's so much indecision in the culture in that moment of like what do we want from these type of superhero movies? Do we want Endgame? Do we want Deadpool? Like do we want this? Like everyone is out to see in this moment.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
whereas the Crooked Man, the movie you didn't watch, and I don't think I'll even like it. I'm not like I wouldn't say I enjoyed it. I think
look, I
it's
like
yeah.
I like Sci-Fi Channel original movies. I might find
Then
something to get out of Hellboy, the Crooked Man.
then okay, then maybe you'll like it more than I did even. That's exactly the vibe. I called it it's in my letterbox review right before we started this. I called it a decent, it would have made a decent episode of an unmade weekly television adaptation called Hellboy the series. Like
Mm.
it's a monster of the week, beginning, middle, and end. All right, goodbye. See you next week, everyone. Um, but yeah, they'll never do another good Hellboy movie as long as these people are the rights holders. If they're only making them to keep the rights, I'll
Yeah,
say the
it feels
one.
like that it's Hellboy is in an unfortunate place. Mike Mignola maybe made a bad decision turning on Del Toro. I'll just throw that out there.
Uh huh.
Um,
The one thing the 2019 film does have a leg up on is that the monster stuff, and like you mentioned, flashes. That's perfect. I've told people like watch the YouTube clips of all the monster shit. And it's like, oh, there's something here. It's like, no, that's it though. But
yeah,
like, I like the gross giants. I like the Flash vision to Hellboy riding a dragon and slicing up ghouls in hell. I like the what is it that pigment the Graugach thing.
mm,
I like the look of that monster. Very try hard, edgy dialogue where the thing's like, "I'm gonna fucking fuck you up, Hellboy," and it's like, "Gee, all right, calm down, Stephen Graham." Who does voice the character? But it's like, it's very edge lordy shit, and then everyone's like, "Oh, what the fuck is he fucking big?" Because they're all British now, also, and it's a lot, and it's also nothing, and it's why we can wrap up the podcast after talking about that,
the only the
basically.
only other thing is the point out that there were two animated Hellboy movies, which are fun, that had Ron Perlman still doing the voice of Hellboy.
Yeah, I remember
Um,
those actually. I remember liking those.
I think if I remember correctly, some of the people who did the Teen Titans cartoon had something to do with it,
That explains
um,
it.
like production company wise. So there's that. If you desperately need something
Yeah.
to watch, I guess Madhouse worked on it. They're famous Japanese animation studio.
hmm
Um, so you know,
Oh, and
uh,
here's a positive thing that changed in the development of 2019 Cellboy. Ed Skrein was originally cast in the role of Ben Damo or
mhm.
Damio. who I believe is a Japanese American in the comics.
Oh
And Ed Skrein,
yeah.
when he found out about that, he politely declined to work on the film, which I thought was
Oh.
a good move because that still feels like the least an actor could do. And so after that, I was like, I'm gonna root for this guy. And his career is a little strange as well, but I like him. He's in the new Jurassic World. And then Daniel Day Kim, who is not Japanese American, plays Ben Demio in the movie. So, you know, all right, it's a quarter measure. It's not even a half measure, but at least it wasn't a white guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not
I
great
feel like
still.
not to give Ed Skrein too much credit because I feel like there might have been a moment where he's like, I need any excuse possible to get out of this.
I mean, okay, that could be it too. Yeah.
But either way, he made the right choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was
Um.
in Roland Emmerich's Midway.
Oh, he did do that movie, didn't he?
Remember that fucking movie?
I didn't see it. I don't think. Did I see that? No, I didn't see that.
No one saw that movie.
Oh. Okay. Last thing. Thomas Hayden Church as Lobster Johnson.
Oh yeah. Um, what's going on with Thomas Hayden Church?
I don't know, man. He's a good actor though.
Yeah, he doesn't pick great things.
No, he doesn't. Just a shame. But that's all the Hellboys. That's all of them. There
That's
may be
all
one
of
in the
them.
near future, but I'm gonna be honest. The way these things bleed money, I don't know if it's financially viable even to keep the rights at this point.
Yeah, it's a lot of things in a bit of a. You could say things are in turmoil right now. So,
Yeah,
um, where the Hellboy rights end up landing might be the least of anyone's concerns.
sure, yeah, because it sure is like we live in hell. A boy.
Go fuck yourself.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Anyways, Matt, thanks for joining me on a discussion of two very good films and two tragic ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be back. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Links to our stuff down below. I assume Matt doesn't want to keep plugging all of his stuff individually. So maybe
Um.
if you
Yeah.
want, I'll
I
just do that. I'll just reference everything down below. So,
I'm Blue Sky. That's basically all you need to know. Blue
all
Sky.
right, all right. I'm hopping on Discord more often. So if you're on the if you want to hop on the Waffle Press Discord, I'll put links down below as well. Figure all that out. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. We have been professionally unprofessional.
Bye.